of men. What are some of the signs of women
Like
peacock?
imagine everybody just spreading when they told my real dad.
It's gonna be my ears. You know what I'm saying?
Physical
Ears,
ears.
like, man,
The level of activity that I thought was needed in order to achieve my goals, I needed to 10x them. And there's no other way that I was going to be able to reach them. And then I would look back in life at the goals that I have achieved or I fell short of, but I fell short of them because of the levels of activity that I didn't take. Who has achieved what you want? Don't try to figure it out. Who's done it already? And use them as a mentor, ride their hip, be right there with them.
Don't recreate the wheel.
No.
Just go with what's already the road that's been paved.
If that's what you want to do,
Right.
And if you want to
Tweak it.
change it up a little bit and make it your own style, go for it. But figure out who did it and just mirror that.
Right. Peace, everyone. Welcome back to Full Notice for another great episode. Today, we have one of the most important people in my life. Been in my life since I was young. Grew up together. Family member. One of the most successful people that I know. It's crazy, the story. I mean, we're going to get into a lot of things, but without further ado, let me introduce my cousin, Albert. How you doing, please?
Great, bro, great.
So, you're a real estate agent, a business mogul. You have multiple businesses. Actually, the first one of our group that was actually successful, had a family, like an incredible, inspirational person. Grew up under the same circumstances. One of the few that actually made it out. So can you please tell me a little bit about yourself for the audience? I mean, I know you.
Yeah.
Tell the audience a little bit about you, man.
Wow. Who am I? So, I'm a father, right? I'm a brother, son. Who am I?
Okay, well, I can tell you a little bit about what I know about Albert. Wait for him to fix that camera over there. You good? But yeah, all right. So, what I know about you, man. I mean, crazy is the word. Go getter. When we were in high school, we can go into how we started connecting more and things like that. How we, from my experience and what I remember, us being in high school, you've always been an overachiever. You played linebacker with us.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't go to any training or anything like that specifically, but you one of the hardest hitters on our team. Fearless, tough, very competitive, respectful. I didn't see you ever get into any fights or any problems. However, when you did get mad, it was like the Hulk. It was kind of wild to see, fearless warrior out there on the field. The transition from us being in high school to how quickly you became a man, so to say, and an adult was I mean, I appreciate more now. I appreciate it more now looking back at it than I did when I was in college.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't realize the responsibilities that you had, all the growth you had to undertake in such a short period of time. I mean, I can't imagine what that was like. I'm interested to hear about your mental state, your mind, when you had children and getting married. You got married early on. How did that affect you? Then you became a real estate agent and everything. I mean, you just blew up. I started seeing posters of you in cities, Passaic, New Jersey.
Yeah.
If you go down Main Ave in Passaic, you're going to see Albert, his posters there, and many other places, man. So can you just tell me about, when your transition from like that high school to you had a child and then...
Yeah. Wow. A lot happened. So high school, like you said, football, that was my thing. Oh, actually, before football, Joey Estrick, father. I used to play basketball. He was my coach. And I used to foul out like half of the game, right?
Yeah, central.
Before the game was done, I was always fouled out.
Yeah.
So he told me, he's like, "Al, this is not your sport. Basketball is not your sport." And I'm like, "Yeah, what do you mean I'm not good?" And he was like, "No, you're a hell of a defensive player, but you're not. This is not your sport." I'm like, "Okay, well, what do you think?" So he's like, "Football." I'm like, "Football?" I told my mom. She was like, "Absolutely not. You're not gonna get hit and all this stuff." I was like, "Well, let's try it." I ended up liking it because it was, how do I say it? It was definitely up my alley, right? As soon as I hit the first person, I was like, "Oh, this is it."
Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love hitting people, right? And I know it sounds messed up, like maybe we're a little bit all messed up here and there, right? But I guess I got my frustrations out, on the field as opposed to out there, right? Out, in the real world or anything like that. So. If I'm having a bad day, I'm just hitting harder. I'm going to the gym harder. We're being more consistent, right? It just and also, I got beat up in like middle school. My first what was it, 6th grade?
Mm-hmm.
There was I wasn't that big. I was like maybe like 140 pounds, and I took advice from my cousin. It wasn't a good idea. He told me to go up to the biggest guy. I remember it was Christopher Columbus. Go up to the biggest guy and just smack him in the face.
That was the advice that your cousin gave?
Yeah. He gave me that advice, and I got stomped out. You could still see it on my forehead right here.
Damn, who did that to you, man?
It was, what was his name? He had blonde hair. It looked like he was a lineman, bro. But at that time, I wasn't lifting weights or anything like that. But then after that, I was like, you know what? I got to hit these weights. And, who was that? I was kind of like competing with some guy, Matt Hunkley.
Yeah.
So at that time, I think he was like benching like 150 or something like that. And at 6th grader benching 150.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. And I think Davella was in Woodrow Wilson at the time. But that's a whole nother story. But yeah. So yeah, I think that's where my whole lifting, until this day, I stayed like, I guess, bigger in the bigger spectrum, as opposed to being skinny and, just because I thought I had to defend myself,
Right.
You make it to the real world and you're just like, those are secondary things that you need.
Right.
You got to be bigger here. You got to be bigger mentally as opposed to physically,
What was your, because you got into the books early on. What books like inspired you to become a business person? Because we literally we'd say, yo, Albert, man, he got retard strength. There's no way Albert's about to be a successful business. Like, it wasn't, we didn't think about it like that. We saw you as a dude who was just like, honestly thought you were going to either just fix cars, because you had the coolest car in school. You had a
Toyota Matrix.
Yeah, hooked
with
up
20-inch rims,
with
airbags, music,
yo,
shiny,
crazy, man.
Yeah.
It was the coolest car in our school, legit. Like, most hooked up car, coolest car in the school. Yeah. And I personally thought that was like your passion. You were gonna get into something with cars, and then the next thing I know, you're boom, real estate.
Yeah.
But what inspired that? Why did you do that? And what books, more importantly, did you read? Because to this day, man, and you've told me about many books that you've read in the past that I've gotten in my library. Go ahead on.
Well, planted the seed of me being entrepreneur / hey, look, I don't want to be like a W-2 employee, nothing wrong with that, but I didn't want to be that, right? I was part of a multi-level marketing thing called ACN. It was me, Angel, Ricky, and Jeffrey. And we were selling these phones, video phones. They were like, "Oh, video phone is going to be the future. It's going to be the future." So we really got into that. We were selling that. But the point is that the upper links, right? It was the owner of the Char House right here in Edgewater, and he sat me back in his back seat, right? It's a nice, beautiful Mercedes S600, right? The V12. Smart guy. He's like, "Albert," and at that time I was into the cars,
right?
And he made me think. Like, he was like, "Hey, what's your passion?" And I was like, "Oh, I love cars, blah blah blah." He's like, "Why don't you skip all that? Skip all that. There's probably some people in their 40s that are still, in the car show life and all that stuff. And is that what you want to be? You know, why don't you just skip it? You know, get rid of all that you know, unnecessary stage, right? So he made me think. He made me feel like it was possible, you know. And from that point on, I was like, you know what, it is possible, right? So, you know, whatever. Then I got married. I think I got married around like 17 or 18 years old. So I was at a very, very young age. But I didn't have my first kid till I was 22. I started selling cars, sold cars for DCH, Honda, and Paramus for like 2-3 years. So I was after that, I was like, look, school's not for me. Like I didn't go. Like I did try. I tried to go to school, but I couldn't focus. I think they were making me take like beginning classes, like classes that you take in high school, and I'm like, wait, so I gotta pay for classes that I gotta take in high school? Like it didn't make sense to me,
right.
you know. So
that's that logical mind.
Yeah, it just switched. I was like, I don't think this is for me, you know. And I also, in my head, in some weird way, I thought that I was gonna be playing football, like you know, your junior, senior year. You think you're gonna go to college and play football,
right?
Because that's all we were trained. And you remember those times, bro? We didn't touch any alcohol.
We were focused, committed.
No drugs, none of that stuff. Like I think the first time I touched weed was at 22.
Yeah.
I didn't.
I was 21 the first time that I drank alcohol.
Yeah,
legit.
Yeah, and to tell you the truth, it was nasty. Like,
yeah, 21. The same day I drank. I also smoked. I was 21 years old.
Yeah.
I was with a Blaze.
Yeah.
Goddamn Blaze, man.
Damn it. But yeah. So that was never a thought process of drinking, smoking, and doing all that stuff. Not that we looked down upon. Like at the time, we were
did.
like, we did.
Yeah,
right?
we did.
We were like fucking loser.
Yeah, those guys are losers.
Yeah.
If you smoke or drink, I'm like, bro, you're gonna kill yourself.
Yeah.
You're not doing the right thing. But that was the right mentality to have. A testament to our parents.
Yeah,
You know?
100%. No, my parents did a great job, and you know, a lot of it I owed to them because, yeah, they weren't physically there all the time, but they definitely provided a good platform for me. You know.
What was the importance of having your parents in a 2-parent household in your life? How did that go?
I think it provided balance. I think it provided balance financially. Not to say that we were doing great or anything like that, but you know, we never starved.
Right.
You know, and it also till this day, I think, you know, I'm 10 years strong with my current wife, you know, and I don't see it any other way, just because I guess, you know, that's what I've been conditioned to. Along with you know, I have 5 sisters, right? I'm the youngest of 5 sisters, so I've seen a lot of what men at times do to some women, right? So I kind of like was there for my sisters too, you know. So I didn't want like another person to go through that, you know. So I think that it put me in touch with that part, you know,
right.
To not be a jerk, you know. So
not be like most of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's and it made me feel right. You know, it made me feel right.
You're a monogamous man.
Yeah.
That's the reality of things. You're one of the few men that you're comfortable, you're happy, you're chilling, and you're at peace.
I'm at peace mentally more than anything else. That wasn't always the case.
Right. You went through some stuff for sure.
Yeah.
So, go ahead and tell us about the books that you read. I'm interested in knowing some of the things that first got you on that path, because becoming an entrepreneur is a leap of faith. So you were selling cars. Then after that, what happened?
I didn't get into books until after I finished selling cars. I was part of a credit repair and restoration law firm in Newark, and you know, the owners were attorneys, and they let me borrow their Audible because I was never into physical books.
Right.
Like I'd get like sleepy and
You
stuff.
got ADD.
Yeah, it's like.
Yeah, you're not gonna sit there and read that.
I can't. Even if I wanted to, I just can't do it. But so they let me borrow their Audible account. What was the first book that was really impactful for me? It was Grant Cardone's 10x rule. Which, you know, that right there just changed my philosophy on the level of activity that I thought was needed in order to achieve my goals. I needed to 10x them, right? And there's no other way that I was going to be able to reach them, you know. And then I would look back in life at the goals that I have achieved or I fell short of, but I fell short of them because of the levels of activity that I didn't take, you know. So that book was very, very, very influential for me. Maybe about 5 years ago, it was the Who, Not the How, right?
Who, not that.
That book right there, it's pretty much exactly how the title sounds. Who has achieved what you want? Don't try to figure it out. Who's done it already, and use them as as a mentor. Ride their hip, you know. Just
Yep.
be right there with them.
Don't recreate the wheel.
No.
Just go with what's already the road that's been paved.
Correct. You know, if that's what you want to do, you
Right.
know, and if you want to like
Tweak
just change it up a little bit and make it your own style, go for it. But figure out who did it and just mirror that.
Right.
Yeah.
What about so how long before you got into the the insurance, the credit card restoration business? Did you get into the real estate business?
So when at 20 years old, I was in the credit repair and restoration industry. But at first I was door-to-door sales. So I was walking around Newark, East Orange, Irvington, all that stuff, and knocking on people's doors to see if they wanted to fix their credit. It was a fun time.
Yeah. Any stories?
A lot of stories. A lot of people, you know, invite you. Like, there's some great people out there. There's some silly people out there. But yeah, it's some intense stories, you know. But you know, I was 20 years old, and you know, from a viewpoint of the owners of the business, they're like, "It's this 20-year-old, you know, he's not gonna make it, you know, whatever." So they didn't even give me a business card till about 6 months in.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was introducing myself as one of my mentors. He gave me his business card. He's like, "Hey, you know, obviously I would introduce myself as him, which his name was Ray Tejada.
Have them call him.
Have him call him, and then he would sign them up for credit repair, and I would get like a $50 from the thing. It was insane, but and I couldn't afford like the parking or anything like that, so I would have to park. You know where the Prudential Center is in
Newark? Yeah.
There's like a Burger King all the way in the
I know exactly
side.
where that is.
So I had to walk from the Burger King area to about Prudential. It was about like a mile, right?
Yeah, I know
Every
exactly
morning.
where that is because you couldn't pay the
Correct.
Yeah,
It was $250.
the ticket.
Yeah, a month. So I couldn't afford the monthly parking. So you know, I would walk every morning. You know, so I'm going into work.
It's the grind.
Yeah, it was definitely going. What time? I was probably like getting there around 7 and getting, because for 8 o'clock shift, right? For I could start at 8 o'clock, but I would on the meanwhile while I was walking there, I would recite, you know, like my script or whatever it was, just mentally prepare myself. Actually, the walk was one of the best things that ever happened to me. Yeah, it was like a half an hour, 45-minute walk to work every day. But that's me parking my car and then, you know, from Clifton to Newark, however long that is. And then I would put in like a 16-hour day, you know, eventually. And mind you, this is after like 8 months after they started trusting me to start being an in-house sales rep, you know. But yeah, those type of growing pains made a lot of character in me. Like that changed me a lot. That type of grit and resistance, and you know, that's
you have to have tenacity for that.
100%. So I was the 4th employee hired at the time, and I stayed in that company till about 2017. So for about 7 years, I was 27 years old. We started hiring salespeople, customer service. So we went from 4, into the time that I left, we were like 175 employees deep, you know. I was the director of sales. I made it up through the ranks, you know. So another great book is called Scaling Up.
Scaling up.
Yeah, scaling up. If you're not into any of that fluff, you know, sometimes
Yeah.
books have like the first 3 chapters are fluff.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Scaling up is right directly to the point.
they don't waste a word, right? None of the words that they're saying is to like build you up or let you get to the intro.
Mm-hmm.
None of that. They don't skip a word. If you're looking to scale your business, and that company, it was called the Credit Pros. They were Inc. 5000 for 5 years in a row. So one of the fastest growing private companies in the nation, for 5 years in a row. So obviously they were doing something right. Great people work there. Still to this day, I'm in contact with all those guys and my team. But that's where I met my wife back in 2014. Ever since then, we worked together for about 3 years, right? What made us make that jump from credit repair to real estate is that credit repair is a service. It's like air, right? You can't feel it. You know, once you actually repair somebody's credit, fix it, their credit score goes up. They buy their house, their car, whatever they're trying to obtain. There wasn't any type of fulfillment there, right?
Right.
As opposed to when we transitioned, which, mind you, at the time my wife was pregnant. She was pregnant, and we left. I was a Thursday, and 2017, a Thursday, and we left the job same day together. Mind you, we were both making 6 figures, health benefits, all that stuff, to just nothing, you know, because when you're 1099, when you're a realtor, you know, like all that goes away.
Yeah, now you're an independent contractor.
Independent contractor, yeah. So, you know, at that time there was a lot going on. There was so much going on. You know, a lot of hardship. But we knew that wasn't it. When you know something's not for you, run.
Yeah.
Go the other direction. You know, I'm not a quitter or anything like that. I was there for 7 years.
Right. You grew with the company.
I grew with the company, but you know, when you realize that something's not for you, you know, you go.
Right.
You go. And you know, taking a look at it now, I'm like, damn, I should have left a little earlier. You know, when I stopped growing, because I was the director of sales for like 4 years in a row, before I left. So like around 2013, I became the director, and you know, I was managing sub teams and whatever. But I stopped learning, and I was comfortable, and I was just comfortable with a salary. And you know, I bought my first house at 22, and you know, I had motorcycles and
I remember,
4 or 5 cars, garages, all this stuff. But you know, that was in my past marriage. But I wasn't happy. I was like, look, this is not it. I'm not feeling fulfilled. Like, I was doing okay for myself at the time. I was like, I don't know, I was like 24 or something like that. But you know, I had everything except for, you know, I kind of didn't have it with the right person at that time, you know. So that's when I met my current wife. And till then, from then till now, we do everything together. You know?
You guys,
like you see us.
Hey, you guys are rolling around taking over the city, for real. There's no BS.
We do absolutely everything together, and it's something that I learned from my past marriage. Is like, hey, look, you know, do stuff with your family just because it creates that unity. Well, for me personally, it created that unity, that strength. You know, you're rolling ideas off each other. You know, she's my investment partner too. She's my.
You guys have a legitimate friendship that's also a business relationship. So you guys are and she's very entrepreneurial. Yeah. So are you. So you guys complement each other, and it's evident. Yeah. You guys even dress professionally the same. And I remember. I don't want to have to say this, but you almost got me killed multiple times, doing crazy stuff. You told me one day. I mean, this was. I mean, I was so exhausted after this day. You had told me to go help you to move like some bricks
in Upper Saddle River.
Yeah,
I was trying to get. By the way, I was trying to get a listing.
He was trying to get
this is the type of stuff realtors do. They just do the wildest stuff
to get on the good side.
To get on the good side of this. Mind you, they didn't even list the house with me. Like, it was,
oh man, so all that work for nothing?
not for nothing.
Well, we gotta go to workout.
Yeah,
we gotta go
work out. You know,
made a connection.
Yeah,
the guy sold speakers or something, right?
He sold surround sound or something like that. And
Yeah.
you know, he introduced me to his neighbors, and a lot of other great stuff happened because of that connection.
Yeah.
So, you know, I guess the take back there was like, just, you know, never forget that. Just talk to everybody.
Right. No. So this is what happened basically. So you get me into this trap. You're like, okay, come help me.
Hey, what are you doing today?
Yeah, what's going on, Rob? What you up to? Hey man, I'm just chilling. Oh yeah, come help me out. I'm getting like I'm moving some bricks or something. I'm like, okay. Yeah, he's like, yeah, it'll probably take us like an hour. It's quick. It's all right. So I go. I pull up and I see you sweating balls, like just drenched, and you're moving these. Weren't bricks, brother. These were boulders that were like stacked up on top of each other for I don't know what it was, like 50, 60 pound rocks.
Yeah.
And we had to move them like 20 yards. Like not 20, but it was like 10, 15 yards.
Yep.
And it was up a slope too, because once we ran out of space, then we had to keep going and stack. So I mean,
How long ago was that?
That was like 2002, maybe. That was like 2 years ago, maybe. Was it 2 years? 2, 3 years ago? It was like 2, 3 years ago, because I think
it was 3 years ago.
3 years
before
ago,
the pandemic.
Yeah, it was 3 years ago. No, it was after,
Was it
because
after?
I had the white Beamer. Yeah.
Okay.
I had bro. I had just gotten it, so it was 3 years ago. Yeah. And it was first when we went, it was this huge mansion. It was like the guy had to get it leveled and follow the ordinances of the city, and you were helping him with that, which is interesting. However, I mean, I wasn't surprised because you had so many clients. You were always helping others. You're somebody that's been helping people for a very long time. So I wasn't really surprised at the situation. I knew exactly what was going to happen. I was like, all right, I'm going to go and I'm just going to clear my schedule, because who knows what's going to end up happening, you know? You just got me involved and I was in there like a slave for like hours, but we got it done though.
We did get it done.
We got it done, and that was cool.
That was a win.
So you and your wife business partners, and then and so go ahead, man, keep telling me about the your experience. Like, how is it, working with your wife that intricately, like everything you guys do, struggle together, grow together. Tell me about that.
I think it was a blessing to actually work with the wife in an early stage where we weren't husband and wife, because she saw me in a capacity of leadership and decision making, where sometimes us men, we go home from a long shift or whatever, and we go home and your wife doesn't see like how other people look at you, right? They don't see that like look, I'm in command, I'm a chief operating, like I'm that guy at work,
right?
And then when I get home, you don't throw out the garbage yet or anything like that, right? It kind of pisses you off a little bit, right?
A lot. So
I think that helps so much, because she knows what my capacity
it's
is.
Your status as a man. She saw how you were able to garner the respect of other men.
Correct.
And they all followed you, so that automatically you're the alpha in the room. So that's my guy. That's how, you know what I'm saying?
That's it. Like in the daytime, I'm telling 50, 60-year-olds, hey, do this, and that, and do it this way, and coaching people, and grooming grown men, right? At the time, I'm in my 20s, in my low 20s, right? So, I think that helped a lot in our relationship, that she was able to kind of like say, hey, like he can handle himself. It's not like he's not a schmuck,
Right.
So, I think that helped, that transitioned into real estate, where we saw like, hey, look, I know you got my back, I got your back. I know what you're capable of, what I'm capable of. She's the opposite of me. Like, I'm not really too educated. She has her master's degree in accounting. Like I'm passive, she's 10x. You know, she's
She's a
pretty
go-getter too.
She's a go-getter too. You know.
Yeah.
And I think overall, what's helped us is that, you know, just we've been through so much. We've fought through so much adversity. Like we've slept in cars to be able to dude,
Yeah.
like what you see today is nothing comparison to that. This emotional stamina that it created was like, you know,
You guys complement each other
Yeah.
extremely well, and you guys fortified your relationship over time.
yep.
You know, for
Mhm.
sure. That's
And we always take it back to day one, right? So we got, there's a big scroll in our bedroom, and I'm kind of, you know, we like to keep discretion in our relationship,
mhm.
but this is one thing I'm gonna tell you is that we have like, it's like the 10 commandments type thing. But each one of them is a core value, because we took that from our corporate life, right? We see core values of a business, and that's what keeps the business growing and becoming better, is that you never forget about why you started the business, right? So your fundamentals, so
your mission
your
statement.
mission statement. Yeah, so we have that on our wall, and we always remember to, like, hey, go back to one. Always empower each other, do the right thing when nobody's looking. There's 10 of them, right? So you know, our key is that we always go back to one. Like the day that you fell in love with me, or I fell in love with you, you know, that's what we got to stick to, because there's going to be hard times. It's not if, it's when there's hard times. You got to go back to one. You got to always come back and realize, all right, well, this is the reason why me and you have this such a strong relationship, is because we've fought through so much adversity. And that helps out a lot, and that helps us out through real estate, because as long as you know you have that one person that's got your back, because there's deals that we represent 20-30 people at one time, and a real estate transaction could be complicated.
Yes,
Could be.
They are
They
complicated.
are complicated. Not one of them are the same. You know, sometimes we're in residential, sometimes we're in commercial, and it's all about negotiation. The entire process is a negotiation, you know. So, you know, and they're very, like, think about it. You know, I'm involved with the biggest purchase the average American makes is buying a home. You know, or investors, when you're looking at black and white, you know, and you got to figure out how to make that black and white work.
Right.
You know, finding the highest and best use of the properties and stuff like that. So, you know, to this day, you know, we're still grinding, we're still pushing. We still have that mentality of, you know, we're awake, like what is it? What's Cardone say? Cardone says, I'm awake like I'm a broke bitch, right? I sleep like I'm rich, and I'm awake like I'm a broke bitch. Right? So pardon the language, but that is something that I kind of live by, right? Because, you know, that way you sleep, when you go home, you want to just,
You want to rest and chill.
yeah, turn it off. And when you're awake, the second you open up your eyes, let's go.
It's grind time.
It's grind time. What are we waiting for? There's nothing we should be waiting for. There's nothing that we should be passive about. You know, we live in America, which, you know, yeah, it's got its problems, but at the end of the day, it's like one of the best places to live in the world, you know?
Absolutely.
So, like, what are you doing? There's so many people that are unfortunate. Like, when you travel the world and you start realizing, like, wow,
How blessed you are.
I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed. I got resources. I got contacts. Dude, what are you waiting for? You know, like, you're fine.
You are the 1% of the 1% of the 1% of the entire world history.
Yeah.
You live in a luxury that no one else in history has ever lived in, and some people are not appreciative of that. And I think that their life and their reality reflects that inner turmoil.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes people are born in circumstances and then they're conditioned to only be in that mind state.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you're someone who escaped that victim mind state. That first generation go-getter attitude was instilled in you, and you literally found your way out of the circumstances. And at 22 to buy your house is incredible. I mean, you were a father young.
Yeah.
had your house young, made $100,000 a year young, and $100,000 a year back then was way more than now, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, you've taken your what the values that you have and grown with those values and became a phenomenal man to the point where, I mean, I'm sure, you know, I'm not monogamous, right? You know, I don't believe in none of that.
No.
However, your wife, she should be very happy and really proud, because you're one of the rare men who is a leader, is a father, great father, a great brother, cousin, a great cousin. You know, you're a great overall man. So here's my question to you. What advice would you give? And we haven't even talked about your restaurant business or anything like that yet, but what advice would you give to real estate agents who are, or people who want to become real estate agents, realtors, who they don't know how to go about it, what to do? You know, what advice would you give? What kind of mind state do they need to have in order to accomplish these goals?
Great question. I think, well, just building on kind of you understanding how we got to the point of real estate, it takes courage to leave your job that you're making, that you're comfortable, and you know, at the time I did have a family. You know, it kind of feels even a little bit irresponsible to do the decisions that were made at the time. The payoff was obviously there, but nobody has a crystal ball.
Right.
But the advice that I would give, they would have to dig deep and figure out if they really want to do this and not for the money. If they really are problem solvers, they like enjoy helping people solve problems. You know, if you're one of the people that actually get like boggled down with problems and you don't take actions on the problems, it's going to be really, really tough, because you're inheriting other people's problems when you're selling real estate. But if you enjoy letting that other person that hired you see the light at the end of the tunnel and walking them through that, you're going to do really, really well. If you are expecting instant money, not the right industry. We took 8 months before we got our first paycheck with real estate, and that's us doing it 7 days a week, putting in a massive amount of hours. We put in our 10,000 hours a long time ago.
I can relate to that.
And you know, if you're willing to take it there, go for it. But don't just put one toe in. You got to jump 2 feet in.
Right.
And again, it might sound irresponsible, but from my perspective, that's what worked for me, and that's what's been working for me. That's what we did with the restaurant industry too. But we became really, really good at something, right? We created it was mastery of real estate before we started pivoting to a different
something else,
passive income.
Right. So you right now you're at a point in your real estate career where you are almost on autopilot with your skill. It became something intuitive. You know what to do, how to do it, how to close the deals, which you know, evidently is the hardest thing to do. You know, you're trusted, so you have brand recognition. We're gonna shout out your brand. We're gonna make a whole intro. I want you know, I want this podcast to be able to give you business for sure.
Awesome.
And I know that you worked extremely hard to achieve, you know, I mean, you've been in this game for years. And I remember telling you, because I did real estate in New York, and I worked for 7 months, closed one deal, and after doing my calculations, I was taking a bus into the city every morning. Would wake up 6 a.m., get on the bus at 7, be in, it was on Wall Street. Well, it was actually 65 Broad, so it was right there. It was basically Wall Street. And while there, I remember having to, you know, just work on my delivery, work on getting knowledge of the buildings and knowing, and you know, it's New York, so I'm from Jersey, so I had to learn the market. They have flexes and this that is different.
Yeah.
So after learning all that and doing all that work and spending all that money to travel back and forth every day,
Mm-hmm.
I ended up netting $700, and after $718, and after I did all my calculations, I spent $715. So I made $3 or $2 or whatever it was, But that was
Yeah.
real estate at the time. I had an idea that was it. However, I seen other guys making closing deals every day,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
making 20,000 in a week, and I'm just like, huh? And I'm over here struggling. How? What's that secret sauce?
Yeah.
But you really dedication to your craft is what makes you a master of it. So you've mastered real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Any advice to the real estate agents that are already in real estate? What are things you look for in the New Jersey market? And
Advice to current real estate agents is don't talk to other real estate agents.
Really?
Because what happens is that once one of them tells you that the market's not good, right? Or we're not doing too good, there's not too many deals in the market, that
limiting
you
mind
might,
state.
you might not think that it's grabbing onto you, but it is, and at the end of the day, you're as busy as you want to be.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I would advise to other real estate agents is don't allow just anybody to go inside your mind. Don't limit yourself on the real estate agents you talk to. Talk to the 20% doing 80% of the business.
So that's how it is in the market. 20% of the agents have 80% of the business, essentially, because they're the ones who've mastered it.
Yeah.
They put the work in there. And so, boom, you mastered real estate. Now you got into a whole new field, and we've spoken months about this beforehand, before you got into it. I mean, it's crazy. Can you go ahead and tell me a little bit about that?
Before we even mastered, we mastered real estate, but we also have became investors too. So we do have a portfolio of rental properties that we I don't want to say own, but we control them.
Right, you control.
Right? Because they're under LLCs. So we got probably I don't even count them. Probably like 12 doors, right?
That's awesome.
When they say doors is actual rental units in different properties here and there. But that's our portfolio right now.
What was it like when you got your first door?
Again, that's what I'm saying. Don't even listen to anybody. Don't listen to anybody, first of all, that hasn't achieved what you want to achieve.
Right.
It goes back to the who, not the how. We purchased our first rental property while we were renting, and we even still rented after that for a couple years, and we still kept on buying more investment rental properties. Just because we wanted to, those rental properties ended up paying for our one family house, right? And we don't pay for the mortgage essentially from our pocket, the rental properties do.
How expensive is it to get a rental property for the people who do not have property? They think that it's this, hard. This is they literally look at it like it's the life goal, like it's so difficult to attain.
No.
How was that process, and how much would it cost the average man, woman? What do they have to make? What do they have to show?
So our first rental property, what did we get it? We got it with 16 grand. And we got the seller to negotiate the seller's clause, the seller's concession, and they paid for our closing cost. But there's down payment assistance program, so even that we probably didn't even really have to pay. But it was our first one, so we were just trying to get our. The key is just get your foot in through the door. Get your foot in through the door. That same property has tripled in value since we bought it, and at the time, absolutely everybody that I talked about told me to wholesale it to just take the fee because I didn't know the area, and put it on the market, right? That's obviously not what we did, and I'm glad we didn't do that because you know,
Tripled your net worth.
tripled it, and then from there, more importantly, it built the confidence. Like that house had a 1,000-gallon oil tank in it, and people were telling me to run. So you know, again, just don't listen to everybody. Take nits and bits and pieces of what people say, but overall, figure out who's done it and then replicate. But no, it's not difficult to purchase a house. It's actually difficult to rent because you know you got to worry about a landlord saying, hey, you can't put some screw in the wall. Tell your kid to be quiet. All stuff that kind of bother you at times. So, and then on top of that, when people say, oh, interest rates are high, what are you comparing it to? Back in the 80s, the 90s, the rates were like 15, 20%, as opposed to now, yeah, they're like in the 6s, 7s. But, yeah, the pandemic kind of made us have this illusion that rates are at 2%, 3%. Probably not ever going to see that again. And that's the reality. And,
yeah, people that I call them the clickbait groups, right? They're just like anything that happens, they exaggerate, and they're looking to make everything into like a pandemic situation.
Yeah.
It's such it's
the
like,
pandemic to us really maybe for like the first 15, 20 days we kind of like what's going on, but then we were right back into business, right? Because you're like, oh, how are we going to show a house, or how are we going to do this, how are we going to do that? Everything became virtual, everything became like you pivot,
you pivot.
But some people stayed in that pandemic mindset for years till today. You have some like people calling out, oh yeah, I got COVID, which whatever, but it all depends on how fast you want to move from that, obviously safety, all that stuff, but
so 16,000 you get a property.
Correct 16,000. That's at the time what we were able to obtain the property with, to secure it, and that same house produces like $3,000 a month.
Wow.
After everything's said and done, all the everything's paid. But the key is to get your foot in the door.
How come so many people have a hard time getting properties? Is it their taxes, their bank statements? What is it that hinders a lot of people from being able to get their properties? Is it their credit score? What is it?
Well, FHA, you're allowed to purchase a house with a 580, but lenders kind of want to see it a little bit closer to a 640. But have a plan, right? If some people do New Year's resolutions, right? Have that in your New Year's resolution, or whatever it is that takes you to. You should, first of all, you should always be planning your next couple moves in life. So if you haven't, then sit down and plan that out, and in that plan put your house, and then sit down with a professional, right? So sit down with somebody credible that's does real estate in your area,
right? So Albert, sit down with Albert.
Sit down with me, sit down with Diana, sit down with our team. We have a couple of agents in our group, so you can sit down with any of them. They're credible. They're smart. They'll be able to guide you in the right direction. But the first step is do something about it. And then once you identify, okay, credit's good. It's like a table, right? A three-leg table. So credit, employment, and down payment. They're all very important. Without one of them, the table falls.
What about for those who are self-employed?
So that would be with employment, right? So whether self-employed or employed, just make sure you do your taxes. And when you're doing your taxes, try not to put too many write-offs on there. I know sometimes when we're just trying to make it, when you're first starting any business, unfortunately, you gotta, do as many write-offs as you can and stuff like that. So let's say like a bodega or any business, right? Usually, you put a little bit, that you made a little bit less on your taxes, so don't do that if you're planning to buy a house, because, you they're gonna assess you based on the last 2 years of how much money you made.
Right.
They get an average, and then from that they assess you to see what your buying power is. So they'll say, hey, your buying power is X amount based on your debt to income ratio. So they see your debt, they say, okay, you got a car payment that goes against your debt. You have a credit card payment. Okay, they grab the minimum payment. So if it's a $3,000 credit card balance, they'll get $25 or whatever the minimum payment is. They'll get that, and that goes against their debt. Student loans, they get 1%. All this you should definitely speak to a loan officer about. I'm a real estate agent, but those are the bases, right? Those are the base factors that they assess you to see how much you can actually purchase home wise. And before you go shopping, before you start looking at the houses, always get a pre-approved.
Pre-approvals. Yep.
Your pre-approval is your golden ticket on how somebody takes you serious, right? That local real estate agent wants to make sure that you're not just window shopping, right? You're not kicking tires, and that way they could provide you with their value.
The first step is getting pre-approved, so that way the real estate agents that are professional and do understand the business, they're not even trying to deal with you unless you're pre-approved. If you're not pre-approved, most likely you'll get them pre-approved, right?
Yeah. Well, we work with different vendors that we could recommend them, this bank, that bank. It all depends on the criteria. So like, let's say you're trying to buy a commercial, I'll send you to one of our preferred vendors. You're trying to buy residential, mixed use, whatever that case may be. And we represent people that are trying to buy $100,000 properties. Obviously not close to
close to
North
here.
New Jersey, but those people that sell their homes now and they want to just move out to somewhere down south or a little bit more west, we represent those. We represent $2 million transactions, $3 million, whatever it is. It's not too small, too big, but we do specialize in the area.
Right.
We do Passaic County, Bergen County, Essex County.
You're the GOAT of all these counties, for real.
So we try to do our best. We try to do our best. We try to service. There's so many clients that we actually lose because we're very transparent. If we can't help you, we'll say, hey, look, this is how you can do it, and then somebody else sells them a dream.
It's interesting because tomorrow, actually, I have a so it's a few people that are coming in specifically. I'm actually not quite sure if it's not only I got the ambassador coming tomorrow, but there may be, if it's either this Friday or next, we have this woman. She's 90 years old. Nice. She's an elder who owns a brownstone, I believe, in Brooklyn, right? Mm-hmm. And apparently some people,
$2 million.
It's a brownstone. I'm not quite sure, but she has this brownstone, and some people came and basically falsified her deed, and they did some shady work, and they've been doing that not only to her but to a few other people. Mm-hmm. And she's 90 years old, an elder, so they specifically are targeting these elders. Mm-hmm. And she's coming in. She has I think she has a lawsuit going, and she needs a platform to tell her story. So we've decided to allow her to come here and kind of speak her mind, and she has a lot to say. Nice. It's something that's been going on in Brooklyn specifically for a while, with people coming in and taking over areas. And, they've employed certain tactics that are, kind of harsh towards the elderly. So she's going to come in and try to expose some of that tomorrow. Wow. So I look forward to that. Brother, right now it's 2:16. I know you have to leave at 2:30. I wanted to ask you briefly, and I mean, this is not enough time to actually really get into the topic, but I wanted to ask you briefly about your restaurant. How was that like? And you could kind of, because you could come, you're coming on again at some point, and we could make that episode about the restaurant, because I also wanted to talk about the running, all the stuff that we did that one time. I want to kind of get into some information about that and your spirit, because it all coincides with who you are as a man. So what I mean, it's up to you. Would you want to talk about what is that called? Spartan race?
Oh, okay,
no,
okay,
the
yeah.
Spartan race,
Spartan race,
or tropical juice bar. What are we doing?
I think we could leave the restaurant for another podcast.
Yeah.
Just because it's
detailed and a lot of shit going on there.
It's detailed, and you know what? I would be doing a disservice to it if I would try to speed it up. And also our Spartan race was pretty intense, too,
Brother.
you know?
I was hoping you had chosen the Spartan race, man, because listen, all right, so this is a little story. Basically, this is what Albert did to me. So he tells me, mind you, I'm going through some emotional turmoil. My mother just passed away, maybe a few months before. That was like in February, right? So my mom passed away in November. December, January, I'm literally just like 3 months in, and I'm still really, depressed. And you call me up one day and it's like, yo, I'm signing you up to this Spartan race. You got to come with me. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm like, all right, whatever, man. Like, because you do stuff like this all the time. I'm like, all right. So I kind of just decide not to even think too much of it. And you told me, yeah, just get in shape, but you really don't give me no details.
I remember what I told you. That on the Spartan website it says like, hey, the first mile is mental, and then the other like 20 miles is I'm sorry, the other way. I'm sorry, the 20 miles is mental. The first mile is physical.
Right.
And like, dude, what's another mile? What's another mile of being mentally tough?
Yo.
So we didn't train for that.
Brother, all right, so here's my perspective. So the night before, all right, so I don't know nothing about this race. All you said to me was, yeah, we're signing up to the race. I'm like, all right, it's how long is it? It's not too long. It's like regular, but it's a good one. It's like one of the top races. And I was like, all right, are we swimming? You said no, but maybe you might get wet. I'm like, okay. So I said, Albert, do I need to bring any gear with me? He's like, yeah, don't worry about it, though. I have this pouch for you for water. And I was like, all right. So I was like, do we need to bring water? Like, nah, man, I got you. I'm going to have this pouch for you. I'm like, all right. So the night before, I'm up to like 4. Yo, bro, I went to sleep at 3 in the morning that night. And I forgot what I was doing. I didn't even eat good. Like, it was, I was just another day.
I remember.
And I came, and it was, yo, bro, I had 3 hours of sleep. And I show up, and it's cold as hell, and I'm seeing people, like, they're stretching, they're really getting ready, they're, like, mentally focused. A lot of people aren't even talking, they're just, like, in the zone. And I got this feeling, like, okay, what's going on here? And we walk up to the thing, I give them the ID, we everybody's telling me, good luck. A lot of people are really like, good luck. There's like crowds of people there and all that. And then all of a sudden, I see it's 15 miles. And you said to me, you're like, don't worry about it. We're there. I'm looking at the hill, and you're like, yeah, don't worry about it. I'm like, oh man, I'm excited too, because like at this point I'm speaking to people, and they're really kind of nervous, but not, and they're just like, yeah, we're gonna complete our trifecta, and everything's gonna be good. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm like, this is my first one, and they're like, oh, this is your first one, and I'm like, yeah, I'm really excited about it. Go in there, I'm 4 miles in, my feet are like swollen, my calves are shot. The first exercise we did, remember we had to grab the rope and like pull ourselves backwards. I burnt my Achilles, like that area, and my ankle because of the rope. Yeah. So I'm like already starting off. I'm already bleeding, and I'm 4 miles in, and I say, yo, Albert, I ran out of water. You remember? And I was like, you were like, bro, don't worry about it.
Water for what?
We were, it was, how long did we, it was a 17-hour, how long?
It was quite a bit of hours. And I think somebody offered us mustard.
Yeah, that's the only way I got through it. Bro, I was cramping
You were
up.
cramping?
I was cramping up so bad. My legs were stiff. Like, I felt horrible. Literally, I felt like, mind you, I'm emotionally going through a bunch of stuff. So then
You're jumping in and out of water.
I remember I had to jump. Like, we had to go under the water. It's like muddy ass, dirty water. Frozen. It's what was like 40 degrees out there. I was like, yo,
super cold.
this is white people stuff. I really don't get into doing all this Tarzan in the nature type of thing. And you got me diving into this dirty water. I come out, my turban is missing, and I don't ever see it anymore. I lost my turban, and I don't roll without my turban. So then I'm like climbing this stuff, going up, and then we throwing spears.
Yeah.
But what really got me was that guy who gave us the mustard. If it wasn't for that guy, I think he saved my life because I was cramping bad. Yeah. And I was wondering why mustard though. But apparently mustard helps you from, prevents you from cramping. I
thought somebody was playing around with me. But at a certain point, you're just like, give me anything to stop this pain.
Yo, anything.
Yeah. So mustard.
Yeah, and to your credit, you went through every single obstacle. There was a point where I said, "Yeah, I'm not doing this." There was what was it? It was the sandbag.
Oh yeah.
Where I had to
like 50 pounds and you have to go uphill, downhill.
I did that. Wait, I did that one, but the next one I was just like, I'm not doing this no more. Like
the rocks, you got to carry a big.
Yeah, I said, nah, I'm good. Yeah. And then and I skipped that one, and I skipped the one where you have to climb this rope and touch the thing at the top. Yeah. My brother, that after whatever 17 hours, 15 hours of me struggling, trying to survive with 3 hours of sleep, not prepared, no water, dehydrated, broken, like my toe was broken, freezing from the cold, dirty from the water. I looked at you and I was like, Albert, I hate you, bro.
Was that the last time we did something like that?
No, then it was the bikes.
The mountain bike.
Then it was the mountain biking, and then on top of that, you got me. I still have the pants. You got me with the butt pad.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, the first time I go, no butt pad, no girdle, nothing, just pure. I had like, but out of all the workouts, brother, that mountain bike is the craziest thing. That is really, really crazy.
People underestimate it because usually, it's 10 miles, but it's 10 miles of intensity. Like it's rough, brother. That was crazy. How was? Let me see if I can ask you. How was that trip? Because you went somewhere specifically. It was like you remember you were telling me that you were gonna go somewhere specific for the biking. Oh yeah, Mountain Creek.
Mountain Creek, yeah. How was that?
I'm intense, right?
Oh man.
I ended up getting a season pass. So and I'm not the lightest guy in the world, right? So I'm jumping off these things that they're like, I don't know, like 8 feet in the air, and just with this bike.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, I already know.
Wild shit, But and I'm doing it with all these other guys that are like 140 pounds and stuff like that, So but it's cool. I guess the heavier you are too, the faster I'm going down. So
you're like a bowling ball, just rolling downhill.
100%. If you get in front of me, you're done.
Yeah, it's over.
It's like in the Spartan race. Remember, I grabbed onto a tree. I brought the tree down with me. It was funny as shit, bro. But I guess to kind of bring it back to the beginning of who I am, to why I do these intense things, is from football, and I guess I transitioned to the Spartan races because I started doing Spartan races in 2011. So, like, when I did the Spartan race with you, it wasn't my first.
You was already balls deep.
Bro, like 15, 20 of them already, I'm on that website. But, you check out my stats.
Yeah, you can check out the stats and all that. This dude is legit.
I did it with Mills, too.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Wait, which one, though? Did he do that crazy one like me?
No. I'm not. Because he brought his, the people he trains.
Right.
So he did something called the sprint. It's like 5K. It's pretty intense too, but it's maybe about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Man, don't give me none of that. That's baby food. All that, I look at everything else baby food now, because what you did was you gave. It's like my cousin, Blaze. He gave me the first alcohol I've ever had was Jack Daniels. So everything else is like, man, that's easy. You give me a beer, man, whatever.
Yeah.
But Jack Daniels is kind of how you did me. Is like you
100%.
put, you gave me the hardest thing to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Everything else is pretty much like whatever.
Piece of cake.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that was intense, but yeah, I want to do it again.
Let's do it.
Yeah, when's the next time that you're gonna be doing that?
I took off last year from doing any Spartan races and even biking actually. But I've been going to the gym for the last like.
Yeah, you
6
look solid, bro.
Yeah, but like straight cardio. I'm not lifting weights.
Mhm,
I'm
mhm.
not doing any of that stuff. It's just I do cardio, sauna, get to work. You know, just
Right.
In and out. You know, 40,
Grown
45
man
minutes.
workouts
Yeah,
now
yeah,
because
yeah.
you gotta chill. You
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
be trying
I don't mess around with my joints anymore. They,
to.
they already click and clack and.
Where me too,
Yeah,
man. Click
fuck
clack,
yeah,
yo, we
yeah,
getting
yeah,
old.
yeah.
But yeah, man. I want to, next time you do a Spartan race, let me know. I'll have my producer and the guys. I got a few guys with me. I'll take them with me so
Let's
that
do
they
it.
could die too.
Maybe do a tough mudder.
Yeah, the Tough Mudder.
Tough mudder. They have these things that could electrocute you. It's
See, do you see what I'm saying? Like this is,
Yeah,
and he's like, yeah, let's just do it. This
Yeah.
is exactly the attitude he had when he was telling me about the other thing, but it was like he didn't mention all the shit. He's like, yeah, we're just gonna, have fun. It's gonna be a few miles.
Pretty chill. Yeah.
yo, man, don't listen to nothing he say, bro. It's crazy. You're gonna die out there. Legit. I want to, but I'm interested in doing it. I feel I've recuperated my energy. Last time we have the videos and the clips and I could see. Remember, we had to jump over the pit.
Yeah.
And I remember like jumping and then just landing. How my legs felt like gel, and I was like, ugh.
Fun.
But this time I know that I'm gonna go through this. It's gonna be good. So I want to do that again for real. We should do that. And
Let's do it this year.
yeah, let's do one. And we're starting to vlog more also, so that's something that I wanna get into. It's 2:29, so we're right on time.
Nice.
So would you, whenever you want to come back, because I do want to ask you about the restaurant. That is a huge, that's huge. Maybe even Carlos could come if he's around, and kind of just tell us his journey, and we could just chop it up and talk
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
I'm sure people would love to hear more about that. I definitely want to hear more about that. And yeah, man, thank you for coming, bro.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you so much, like always, man. Thank you. If you have any your Instagram, any places you want to shout out, your businesses, like plug yourself in right now.
Yeah, definitely. You could go to adsoldit.com. That's our website. You can see a little bit more information about who we are. Our Instagram is ad_soldit. There you'll be able to see testimonials, see what we're about. Our biggest thing is families, helping families. So, anytime that you see me, most likely I'm either with my daughters and, she's helping me show a house or, whatever it is. So, we're big on helping other families get to that home ownership phase of their life. So yeah, and we do the best we can, with honor.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you for being here. And guys, we're gonna leave all his links down in the description. And this is only part 1. We have part 2 coming, and it's gonna be an interesting show. Hopefully by that time, Albert will hit me up with something crazy, and we'll have another story to tell, right?
That's it.
So thank you guys for joining us. This is a short episode, but a very informational one. I appreciate everyone for joining. Until next time, peace.